Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Woo! 2022. So ready for a fresh start. How you feeling, Mags?
I'm feeling great. I took a whole 3 days off,
Woohoo.
like a whole 3 days off.
Good for you.
I cut back work a lot over the couple weeks between Christmas and New Year's, but a full 3 days. I did these really cool little art projects that my mom got me. Did a 1,000-piece puzzle.
Wow.
Podcast. Yeah, I was just telling Christine, my Mondays are literally from it's a 12-hour day, 9 a.m. to 9:30 p.m.
Yeah, you have a real Monday.
Yeah, it's a full ass Monday. But I feel so recharged. And so I have my little sticky note here. Intention.
Woo! Topical.
Yeah, trying to start I have this full day today of how can I settle into an intention before each thing that I start with.
Love that.
I
love that. You're jumping the gun on what we're going to talk about today. Usually I'm the one jumping the gun on your topics. I love this.
Yeah.
This is great. We're always one step ahead. I love it. So yeah, I feel the same way. I told Maggie when we jumped on today, my computer had completely died overnight because usually it's always fully charged. And I took a couple of days to be with my husband in the new year. And we went, riding his electric scooters. And, we took a little trip to San Diego because we had to pick something up. And so we just went and did that yesterday and, got some smoothies, hung out, didn't feel like, oh, we had to rush back. We're always feeling we have to rush back, and, yeah, it's been so nice, to feel like I can spend my time the way I want to and still get everything done that I need. It's not an either or. And I think that's what we're really trying to push to get people to understand, is that it doesn't have to be, I'm super productive and I'm burnt out and need a break, or I'm resting and doing nothing and not getting anything done. Right. It's no, we do both. And does it take a minute to figure out how to get that balance? Absolutely. Because it looks different for everybody, but it is totally possible. And we're here to tell you we're finally living that dream. So, absolutely. Yeah. So how does this all get started? New year, new everyone, right? Actually, I've been seeing a lot of New Year, same me this year, which I think is really cool, because I think people are owning who they are at this point. They're this is who I am, and I'm going to evolve and become a better version of myself. But right now, I'm not going to try to set myself up for failure by saying new year, new me, and then I don't change.
Well, but see, I'm seeing that too, and it makes me really sad, because that's the work that we do, right, is rebuilding. We focus a lot on rebuilding trust with the self after, because you're the habit queen, right? And it's very hard to cultivate and create new habits. And if we spend a lifetime of setting these goals, even if the goals were bad, and not bad, but not smart goals, right?
Right.
That if we spend a lifetime of not hitting those goals and not being able to create new habits, and we don't trust ourselves to create new habits. And so I see these people, a lot of them, not everybody, and I'm sure some of it's the heavy dose of self-deprecating humor, but it's I don't even believe that I'm not even going to set a goal, because I already know I'm not going to reach it.
I see.
And that feels sad to me.
For sure.
And again, a large part of what we focus on, we have trainings about this already, is setting goals that are measurable and attainable and achievable, and that are supportive. And we're actually going to talk more about that today, but it makes me sad to see people who are just we're on day 3, and they're nah, I'm not even,
I'm over it. Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see that. So that is interesting. That's a perspective thing, because I agree. That's not something we want to, we want people to believe that they are capable of having the best life that they desire. And that means having measurable goals. And that means having, believing in change and believing in creating new skills that allow you new opportunities, blah, 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 But yes, I also feel like, and I think that you say it because you're the self-love queen, and you say that in order to, truly understand where you need to go, you need to understand where you're starting from. And like, who are you and what is it that you bring to the table, and loving all of that. And I help people with that in a way. I kind of pull from your curriculum of like, when people are wanting to change their body, their image, or something like that. So if they're trying to lose weight, or they're trying to tone up, or they're trying to gain muscle or whatever, I always tell them, like, think about everything that your body has done for you up to this point, and a lot of them have had children and, have had different things happen in their life. And I'm like, own that, love that with all of its imperfections. And then now let's love the new, like the growth. But so there, I think it could be
yourself into change. You can't hate yourself, into
exactly.
a new version of you.
Exactly. Because then again, that's the concept of like manifesting from scarcity, and like you want all this because you feel like you don't have it. And that's going to, pair beautifully with what we're talking about today. But so I agree with you. I think it could go either way, but you're right. Most people are probably saying it as a joke, like, I give up, I can't change, whatever. But if we look at it as like, I'm owning myself right now, and then I'm going to use this year to grow organically and allow myself to be open to growth, instead of setting all these high resolutions at the beginning and then just, letting yourself down. Like you said, you have to cultivate that self-trust, which is very important. So, all right, well, let's dive right in. We're talking today about resolutions versus intentions.
This is, you guys, I've been itching to hear the TED talk on this, because Christine is always like, she's like approaches the soapbox and she's like getting up there to talk all about resolutions and intentions. And she's like, but we're going to save this for
That's right. It's not my time.
So we're getting into it today. I'm excited to hear it.
I mean, listen, you're right. I love this topic because ever since this is probably 4 or 5 years ago that I really got to a point where I was like, oh my gosh, like I was the same way as everyone else. This isn't working. I can't do the whole new year, new me, set myself up for failure, feel like I'm not trusting myself. Everyone around me saying, oh, Christine, you're like shiny object syndrome. You find something you like and then you drop off and you never follow through. And I was like, that's a terrible thing to feel, that is you, And I was like, maybe that is me. Maybe I can't follow through with something. And it was just a matter of following through with the right thing and also setting up the right systems and the goals. So to start off, I want to tell people that I posted this on my Instagram last night. Systems work. It's all about creating your systems, which is why, Maggie said something about, really following in on those habits and stuff. And that's what we're going to go into with intentions. I've literally finished my taxes yesterday on day 2 of the year because I have a system. Now, this took me a while because, again, school, society, nobody teaches you how to do taxes. But once I figured it out and I did my whole sheet and system and keep all my receipts, literally it took me maybe like an hour and a half. I calculated all my stuff, threw it on my sheet, put it on a manila envelope, and I was done. And everybody stresses out. Now, granted, I'm going to get some of those, things from, all your W-2s, W-9s, all those things. But you just throw them in the envelope. So this is all about creating systems that allow you to not feel like you're going to fail after setting these, what we call resolutions. And I put that in quotes because you'll understand why I don't like the term resolutions. So essentially, I'm going to read from some of my notes here because I think these are really poignant. Patterns of behavior throughout society have put a lot of pressure on the new year to deliver change and growth. That's what we always believe, right? But those two things can only be initiated if you desire it and create a plan to accomplish the change. So essentially, a lot of people are creating resolutions because they feel they have to. It becomes like, oh, it's a new year and everyone's making a vision board and everyone's setting resolutions. I should set them too, right? But truly, and Maggie said this before, we can set resolutions or we can set intentions or whatever anytime throughout the year. You don't have to wait for the new year, which is another reason why we started our academy in December. Because we were like, everyone's going to want to hit the ground running in January. Let's start earlier so they can feel like they're already accomplishing new things in the new year. Right?
And people do this, like we see this in the research across the board on birthdays, on like like September, so Labor Day, right?
Mhm.
Labor Day
Mhm.
on, Mondays, you start the diet over again. So we see
Right.
like there's this human attraction to fresh starts. And
Right.
there's we place a lot of mental emphasis on that
Mhm.
and expected that to sort of like, right, carry us through for the date to have the magic when really the
Right.
systems are the
That's a
magic.
very good point. Yeah, absolutely. It's not about the date, because also depending on when that date is, it's like, oh, like the holidays, I can go through the holidays and I can just eat whatever I want. And then on January 1st, I'll start fresh. So it allows you to kind of have that break time to procrastinate a little bit on the goal. And then you can start fresh. And like you said, that magic of January 1st,
Mhm.
like now it's going to happen. And then the problem is that you were literally eating whatever you wanted for the last 2-3 weeks or whatever. And now you're expecting to jump into cold turkey January 1st with no systems in place, no plans or whatever. I mean, maybe some people have plans, but the idea is I see a lot of people just jumping into it because it's the date. And
Mhm.
then they're not setting anything up, which after January 3rd, 4th, 5th, or even February, if you can make it that long, yeah, they're not going to last,
Right.
unfortunately. And that's sad, because with what Maggie does with the the pillars of self-love, which we did a training on in the past, definitely recommend go looking at that. The self-trust one is so powerful, because it's literally like, we say, like when we trust in other people, like someone betrayed your trust, like a family member or someone, a relationship got cheated on or whatever. But like the trust in yourself is the most powerful. You are the person you live with for the rest of your life, no matter what. So like, if you don't trust yourself to come through for you, what are we doing?
Mhm.
Like, that is what hits me hard, that I was like, oh, something needs to, like, there needs to be some system here that allows me to feel like I can trust myself. And so
Mhm.
that's what was the trigger for me, is I was being told by other people, and I was thinking it myself, that I don't follow through with anything. I was the girl that never followed through. I was very excited about everything, and I would tell everyone about it, and I would shout it from the rooftops. That was my big mistake, is don't tell people what you're doing until there's, something to show.
Mhm.
Because you set up I was like, great, I'm a performer, so I set up the show, I was so excited, and then the show was never choreographed. And I was like, oh my god, I look like an idiot. And I didn't think of it that way, because then I was like, oh, it's fine, there'll be something else. But it's like, what happened to this idea? Why am I not following through with this?
Mhm.
And that was literally like my MO. And I got to a point after I was doing all this growth, I was like, this is not, like, I'm not this person, and I don't want to be this person. And so I started digging into like resolutions and why we set them and what they mean. So the definition of a resolution is more or less a statement to change something you want to fix about yourself or your lifestyle. As a result, resolutions tend to inspire negative thoughts about your current situation. So it's all about like, I don't like this about me, so I'm going to change it.
Well, you even use that word that I just like, ugh, fix,
Right.
fix something.
Fix something.
You're like
Right.
a broken machine.
Right. Exactly. And the point is that no matter how we get into this period of change that we're looking for, we're not going into it broken. I
Mm.
actually think that if you start to create change in your life, you're going into it in such a better mindset than you would if you didn't realize you needed the change,
Mhm.
because you're prepared and you're acknowledging. It's the concept of, accepting the problem. Like when they talk about AA and things like that, the first step is admitting you have a problem.
Mhm.
And that I feel like that works for everything. The first step is admitting change needs to be made. I cannot keep living like this.
Mhm.
And that was my thing, is I was like, I can't have the reputation that I'm the girl that doesn't follow through. Like, that is so shitty for me. And so on the other hand, an intention is more focused on creating abundance in your life with aligned action or a plan. So you're already talking about it from a level of abundance, of feeling like, okay, I have so many things to be thankful for, right? And I'm going to set a plan to make this the best year ever, and to be better this year. Um, and what we need to understand with resolutions and with just life in general is that we say this, but I don't think we actually take it to heart, is that the universe is going to throw itself into your plans.
Mhm.
And we always say, if you want to make God laugh, make plans and, whatever. But the idea is that like, we need to take that to heart. The universe wants a part of the action. And you have to make sure that you learn how to play with the universe. Otherwise, it's going to work against you. Mm-hmm. And resolutions are 100% in that scope, because people will set something without any other situation in mind. It's like setting a trip and then COVID happens and you have to cancel your trip. It's like, you didn't get insurance on the flights or whatever, it's like that kind of thing. Is like, make sure that you understand that like, however you set up your life or your year, let's say your year, the universe is going to throw some things in there that's going to make it, you have to assume it's going to be better, not make it worse. Mm-hmm. Right. My grandmother always said to me, she said, Christine, it's always for better. And if you look at life that way and assume that it's always for better, then whatever happens to you, no matter if you feel like it's a negative situation or something bad, or you didn't follow through on something, it's because there was something else waiting for you that you needed to be redirected to. Right.
I think of like, even like the worst things that have happened to me have like been leading me to something better. And I think with the just focusing on the difference between intention and resolution, just the language that you use, which I think is really helpful. It seems like intention is less about like necessarily like the expectation or the outcome, and more about the process and the journey, whereas a resolution is more about like focused on the end goal specifically, rather than journey oriented.
Well, exactly. And that's what we're realizing a lot more these days as things are popping up in social media and everything, is that it's about the journey. Mm-hmm. That if you're not enjoying the process of getting there, then you're going to be pretty miserable. And the end result is not going to be what you expected it to be. And we laugh a lot. We've said this before, Maggie and I, that the end result of like the destination of life is death. Mm-hmm. So what are we all in a hurry to get there? We're not. We need, like, it's your birth year and your death year, and then the dash in between. That's what you want to focus on, is the dash in between, the excitement in there. And why are we so eager to always get to the end of the goal? Because, then I can say I've accomplished something. Is it the validation? Like, why are you wanting to get there? It's different for everybody, what they're seeking of that end result. But if you enjoy the process, like a relationship, building a relationship with someone, or you're going through a hell of a process right now, you're creating life, and that's a hard process. Yeah. The excitement of like, then you get to hold your child, but then the journey of raising your child, like it's always cycling into a new process. And if you enjoy the process, that's more, like you said, the intention. You just said every morning you're waking up right now and you're trying to say, how can I set the best intention to get the most out of this day, or whatever it is. And I think that's incredible, because you're going into it with the mindset of like, I'm going to create something that's going to create, some power behind what I'm doing. And I'm trying to use it without using the word intention, because the word intention is really the word I want to use.
It imbues purpose. It's like injecting purpose into what I'm doing. And I was just on our like group call for our academy earlier today. I was like, gave this like little analogy, like think about the Wizard of Oz. Right? They all were going to the Wizard of Oz to get courage, to get brains. And when they got there, the Wizard of Oz isn't shit. He didn't do anything. They got everything that they needed on the journey. Right. All the experiences that they needed in order to grow and evolve and get the thing that they most craved was delivered to them on the journey. Right. Not when they got to us. And the same thing is like with us. Everything that we need to grow and evolve is in the journey, is in process. It's not at some fictional end point in the future.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, that's a great analogy. Also, I come from Kansas, so love me some Wizard of Oz. No, that's awesome. But yeah, so that's the big thing with resolutions, is like going back to kind of what we were talking about before, is resolutions are often made without action steps, and intentions are made with aligned action. That's the difference. And so that's also like, you can't just say, okay, I'm going to set an intention this year. Like you just change the wording. That's not how it works. The whole purpose of an intention is to have an action plan, create a SMART goal, right? Have a system in place. I can't just say, oh, I'm going to get my taxes done on January 2nd and have no way of doing that. And just sitting there for hours and hours and hours trying to figure out how to do it. It's like, no, the reason I can do it on January 2nd is because I've done it this year, this way for the past 3 years, and my system works. And here we are, you know what I mean? But before I did that, it took some time to actually like make that a reality because I had to do a lot of research. So if your goal is to join the gym and, you know, lose some weight or gain some weight or do whatever, join the gym, hire a trainer, do some research on nutrition plans. Like there's a lot that goes into changing the look of your body and the feel of it. So you can't just say, I'm going to work out. That's not, that's not going to last. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, also the concept of showing up as the self that already has what you want. You know, so I think the biggest thing, the absolute biggest thing with habit changing is identity change, because there's different levels of outcomes and change. And the biggest one is identity change. There's also outcome change. And outcome change is what Maggie was talking about, focusing on the goal, right? The end destination. It's like, okay, so I want to win the race, right? I'm going to enter in a marathon and I want to win. That's someone who's focusing on the outcome change. Someone who's focusing on the identity change is they still want to win the race, but they want to become a runner, right? So instead of saying, I want to read more books, just say, I want to become a reader. Right? You have to focus on what it is. Who is this new person, this new version of you that has this habit, right? And I don't love this habit, but I love it's such a powerful example, is for someone who wants to quit smoking, right? Someone gets offered, you have two people and they both get offered a cigarette. And one person goes, no, no, thank you. I'm trying to quit. Right. And then the other person says, no, thank you. I'm not a smoker. But they were both smokers. They both are trying to quit. But one person is really emphasizing the fact that like, this is not who they are anymore. This is not their life. It's the concept of quitting cold turkey. But at the same time, there's a verbal affirmation that is being said out loud to everyone around them. So chances are that person will never offer them a cigarette again. Versus the person who says, I'm trying to quit, might get offered more cigarettes because they're like, well, if they're stressed that day, maybe they'll take one. Who knows? There's this like ping pong of like, I could swing back, but I'm trying to quit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's, for me, I study like linguistics and like the power behind our words. And it's like, remind me again, the power of the I am statement, the power of identity. But also, you know, I'm thinking of, truth be told, I've never seen any Star Wars movie ever, not a single one of them.
Same.
I do know, and I think it's Yoda. It's the smart little green guy who's like, do or do not, there is no try. And so we hear all the time, people are trying to do this or trying to do that. It's like, we're trying until it's done. That's the idea. I'm going to use that verb until it's done. No, you're doing it. It's either done or it's not done. You're in process of doing it. Again, you're not trying. You were actually doing it. And if we can switch that verbiage, it helps to change and reprogram our identity and who we think we are. Because it's different to saying, I'm trying to become a runner versus I'm becoming a runner. Right? Versus I am a runner.
Versus I am a runner.
That like it's that process and that evolution. And I know like this is how we prime the mind now. I want you guys to be thinking about how often you say, I'm trying to do this and trying to do that, and see if you can really rework some of that lingo, internal or external, and see how it shifts for you.
Right. And so that's the biggest thing, is that like, honestly, Maggie and I don't even use the term resolution anymore, because it's just, it almost feels like it has like a bad taste in your mouth, because it is really about creating, it's exactly what the definition was that I read earlier. It's like wanting to create a change to fix something that's wrong, right? Based on negative feelings about yourself. Mm-hmm. And that is no way to go into a new year, like mm-hmm. at all. Like if you're trying to create positive change, you don't want to already look at all the nitpicky things that you don't like, and these people that create these vision boards, or a lot of people are creating mood boards of like how they want to feel, which I think is really important too, is like, let's talk about that. Let's talk more about how you want to feel, instead of just, this is how I want to look. This is the car I want to drive. This is what I want. Like, it all becomes so materialistic. And that's why it becomes very surface level with resolutions, is we want to get deeper. Why do we want these things? And when you figure out why you're wanting these things and how you actually want to feel, you can start to realize, oh, I can actually make myself feel that way with this, or by doing this. Yeah. And that brings on all the things you want at the end of the day, because it's really about the feeling. A lot of people say they want $1 million. Why do you want $1 million? You want a bunch of like little $1 million cut up pieces of paper? No, you want what the $1 million can do. You want that opportunity to take that and trade it for something else that's going to give you a feeling of success, validation, belonging, security, whatever it is that you're looking for. And how do we make ourselves feel those things without the $1 million? Because then at the end of the day, when you're not chasing it, it's like that concept of the butterfly landing on your shoulder. If you're not chasing it all the time, it's not going to run away from you. And you will eventually, it will find its way to you if you stay the course and you stay connected with, your core values. Again, Maggie always talks about the core values. Like, it all comes back to the core values, people. A lot of people, that's another thing. A lot of people set intentions because they just want something immediately, but they don't realize that it doesn't line up with their core values. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very important to sit down. If you don't already know what your core values are, great time to do it. Beginning of the year, sit down and write down, 3 to 4 core values that you can like align yourself with.
And if you don't know how to do this, we have a whole ass handout that we
Yes, we do. I was just about to say, Mags, you want to take that on how we can create core values. But she's right. We have, if you guys like on this video, DM us, say core values, and we will send you our, full handout of how you can create your core values. It's amazing. And you need to start with that, because then if you're setting intentions that align with your core values, you have a much better, you're going to have a much better outcome and a journey that you're creating, because it's all aligning. Everything's going to just line up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Honestly, my first, it's just so funny how much we like grow and change. All of my resolutions, my intentions this year are like all about how I'm feeling, all about my character, all about the energy that I'm showing up in. And I was like, shit. Because for the new moon last night, I was like thinking of things that I actually wanted to manifest. And I was like, this is all very like, this is very kind of character driven and values driven. Yeah. Let me think of some like tangible, actual outside world things that are going to be happening too, that I want to call in, because I've just totally shifted, right? Like when you set intentions, so many things can fulfill your intention versus a resolution. It's like one thing. It's like one, or it's zero sum. It's either this or it's not.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, that's a very good point. So you're right, because the intention is more about the feeling. And if you have the feeling, there are lots of things that could create that feeling, right? If you want to feel more loved, you can get that from yourself. You can get that from a hobby that you start. You can get that from, maybe getting a puppy. You can get the volunteering. You can get it from a relationship. You can get it from family members, reconnecting with an old friend. You can get it from, like you said, doing some charity work. I mean, there's so many ways to do that. But so many people are like, well, I just want a relationship this year. It's like, well, why do you want a relationship? Mm-hmm. What is that for? And usually it's because they need to feel more loved, or it's a security thing. I'm getting too old. I want to be married. I want to have a kid. I wanted to, it's like this fear of running out of time, which is a big thing for me. And And a lot of people feel that way. They feel like, I'm running out of time. I need to be doing what I want to be doing already. And it's like, well, what do you want to be doing? And how do you want to be feeling? That version of you that you feel has everything that you want. Who is that person? What do they do? How do they show up in the world? What's their morning routine look like? How do they speak? How do they walk around? Like, these are all, how do they feel? You know what I mean? And if you start thinking of it that way, setting intentions is going to be a no-brainer. It's just going to fall out of you because it's going to align with your core values. You're going to understand how you want to feel, and you're going to be open to the possibility of that happening in multiple different ways. I think that kind of lines up with what you were saying, is that with a resolution, you're like, okay, I want a relationship and it has to be this, 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 and this. And so the only thing that you're accepting is that dream person that walks into your life, versus if you went down to the root of what you want, how you want to feel, you may actually, at the end of the year, attract that feeling and feel good about yourself and feel the love that you were looking for, and not have the relationship and still be satisfied.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. I mean, when you
Like,
leave things open-ended like that, when you align with the intention and the feeling behind it, I mean, that's what happened. This is how I reconnected with my partner. I was just like praying for a very specific kind of relationship and how I wanted to feel in the relationship. And I had no idea that he was going to come back around, or who it was going to be, or if it was going to be the other person that I was. It's just like a whole beautiful thing, because I didn't have any ideas about what it had to look like.
Yeah.
It was just me aligning with what I needed to feel like in order to feel valued in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. And that is allowing the universe to play a part in your journey, because it's gonna play a part regardless of whether you invite it to or not. Yeah. So you might as well, be on the same team, and understand that, like, if you work with the root of how you want to feel, instead of just, I want to change this, or I want to have this car, but like, what if another car comes into your life and it's just as great? Or what if it's a completely different thing, So yeah, I don't want to harp too much on this, because I just really want people to understand, like, setting resolutions and setting intentions, like that whole concept is already so, people really overthink it, I think, a lot, which is why they end up dropping off in February, because it's either it's overthought, and then they put so much pressure on themselves that then they drop off, or it's not thought out enough and it's just very surface level, and there's no plan behind it, in which case they drop off as well. So both end up dropping off in February. So what we want to help you do is not drop off in February. We want you to help you start the year right. And you can always reach out to us. Again, comment below core values. We'll send you our full sheet where you can create your core values and really start off setting your intentions correctly. But basically, consider, when you're, instead of setting resolutions, first of all, start saying intentions. Number one. Don't say resolutions anymore, because it just comes out as like something you want to change, negative things. Like, set an intention for your day every day, and set an intention for the year, multiple intentions if you want. Second thing is focus on the identity change, not the outcome change, which is, I just want this thing. Because when you focus on the identity change, you're doing what Maggie says about the affirmations, and really doing the I am a runner, I am a reader, I am not a smoker, I am, instead of I'm trying, this is my, that's my goal for the year. Like, focus on really setting the intention of, like, this is who I am. I'm embodying this new version of myself. You're going to get there so much faster. Focus on the sustainability of things, right? You want things to be sustainable. You want it to last, right? And I have a whole system of how that works. So if you guys want to focus more on that, you can reach out to us. But like, sustainability is the new way of really creating habits, those systems, right? There's a reason that I can do my taxes on day 2, because the system doesn't change. And if it does change, because taxes change, then I adjust the system and I keep it, so that I never go back to like, oh no, now I've got papers everywhere and it's a headache and all. It's not that. It doesn't need to be that. Right. And then again, like we talked about, the core values, making sure we're talking about how we're feeling. Don't just focus on, I want to lose weight. That's a goal or a resolution that's going to drop. You want to focus on how you want to feel, make it measurable, create plans and actions and systems that are going to allow you to set that. Like, don't say you want to lose weight and then you have no plan, you have no trainer, you have no nutrition plan, you have no, like, you can't just jump into the new year with the same old behaviors and expect to get a different result.
Not to mention diet culture just like preys on people at this time of
Totally.
year too.
Totally.
Any sort of change, like it's called building a habit. It is called habit building.
Right.
You are building a house. It is a progression.
Right.
You start with the floor plan and then you dig, like, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I fucking know
how to build a house.
But it goes up gradually and you build it gradually. The same thing with your goals. They need to be gradual. You're not going to have a house on, this is, I think what people expect too is like, I'm going to have a house on day 2 of January. Like, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
Building it.
It takes time.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
so don't drop off. Don't feel like, oh no, I'm not getting the results I want. Again, that goes into, and I did a whole thing on my method of optimizing, right? You have to optimize because you're never going to hit the bullseye on the first try. And honestly, that's the fun of life. You don't want to hit the bullseye on the first try. You want to enjoy the process. Again, it's not about getting to the end. It's about enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
Totally. Awesome. All right, guys. Set your intentions.
If you've already set resolutions, go back and revise them.
Yes. Revise. Absolutely. And if you guys have any questions, again, reach out to us. We're here to help. We want you guys to get off on the best foot for this year, and not put so much pressure on yourself. Enjoy it. Like, it should be a fun process to get to growing into the new version of yourself.
Absolutely.
So,
enjoy the road.
Yay.